Okay. I got at least one response, and I'm hoping to get more with my most recent video on the homelessness tracking garbage. And I want to make something clear. It's not that this country is incapable of taking care of the basics in terms of food, shelter, water, and and laundry. We could do that too. It's something that's generally not included in basic needs, but I agree with the person that wrote that included that. Okay, shower and bathroom. Yeah, that's definitely included in a basic need. For a while, we had a sink in the longer term shelter that was deteriorating from the inside out, and we were actually using that to that bathroom sink. We were lucky we had a private bathroom attached to our unit, and probably because of our medical issues. We were one of the few couples to get that, as opposed to sharing one between two couples. And the sink was deteriorating from the inside out into our water. And that's why for a while, in spite of all of my musculoskeletal and to lesser degree neurological issues, I hold up water, bottles of water, so that we could drink safely. Because tap water, I saw the particles in it, and I'm like, no, we're not going to do this. And eventually they did replace the sink. I have pictures of that old sink and of them replacing it eventually while we were there. But it's not that we don't have the monetary ability. It's not that we don't have the logistical facilities to do it. It's that instead of doing that, we have chosen, whether we realize it or not, okay, no matter how we are complicit as a country for doing this, we have chosen a system of contractors, subcontractors, and middle contractors and advocates, including lawyers and advocacy agencies, to, for the most part, get in the way and add unnecessary layers to the mess and prevent the people who need help getting it. And I'm not saying that the advocacy agencies are evil. I'm not saying that every single person or, in any of those agencies that I've just mentioned is evil, is a bad person, does intentional harm, because I know that there is a good-hearted person that really does care in every single one of those entities, at every single layer of them. I know it. But I know that as well, especially in the case of the middle people, especially in the case of the people that run the shelters directly, there's a whole lot of them, more than not, that are skimming off and that are criminals to one extent or another. And that even if they aren't criminals outright, even if they're not skimming money off the top, even if they're not overcharging, okay, they're still making money, earning a living off of the perpetuation of poverty, over the perpetuation of human suffering. Okay, that's what they're doing. And again, it's I know that to some extent when I say that and I mention the concept that I intend to go into the legal profession, I might be saying, well, I'm going to become evil. Well, for starters, I'm going to be going into 2 or 3 different spheres of law, so if the human rights really ever does run out of cases, I could always go for cleaning up the environment, and I'm never going to run out of cases because nuclear radiation poisoning isn't something that has an an end point, considering all of the places that currently have it and are getting worse. So I'm never going to, within my lifetime, run out of work. But at the same time, I'd love it if the part of my possible career choice of human rights in terms of in this country goes away. I'd love that. Don't think it will, though. And frankly, if all of the things that I plan to do in terms of legal career, turn out, I don't have to do it, I'm happy to just stay at home, fold paper. Origami, my main hobby. So, but right now it seems like there's a whole lot of things that need fixing. But again, the point is that it's not that we don't have enough and we don't spend enough money. We spend way too much money on it. And we're not getting any decent results. And unlike disease management, which is to say Medicare, Medicaid, private insurance, which is really abstract and it's really difficult to say what and to control all the factors of what is a disease, how many people, of disease management. There's, ways to treat it. There's ways to manage it. There are so many different variables. What does someone consider themselves healthy? What's the definition of it? Even that's a pretty abstract term that it's not a universal thing. But it's a very universal setup to say, what's a safe dwelling? What's a safe amount? What is enough money with which to reasonably to eat healthy? To eat reasonably well. Okay, what is enough money with which I need for transportation in my local area and around my local area? Those are pretty easy numbers to get. What is the cost of childcare? What is, these are things that are, what is the cost of heat and or air conditioning? What's the cost of electricity in a given area? And these numbers would be gathered up together to form the basis of what's universal basic income should be. Okay, and that is why, and universal basic income would be a cheaper way to provide all of the basics for everyone in need of help in this country and still give freebie money, which is to say fun money, okay, a little bit, to those who are wealthier and don't need it. Because right now, as opposed, and when you consider the concept of, and many people say, well, what about the people that don't need it? What about the people that don't deserve it? Well, look, does the person that steals, $3 million from the safe at the shelter, where the money orders and and receipts for CDs and stuff like that are being stored in the safe by the people that are in the shelter, and the shelter director takes it and has fun with that. How's that great? How did that... The person that I'm mentioning, he stole the first time, it was $50,000. And they still kept their job for a while. So, and there are people out there that that they do this kind of thing. They steal money left, right, and center. And it's like, oh, slap on the wrist. They don't face any real consequences. Skimming is, unfortunately, pretty common. And therefore, my attitude towards the concept of when people say, oh, but, the wealthy person doesn't need it. Let's means test it. No, I don't want it means tested. I don't want it because A, that defeats the purpose of it. And B, as well, when I think about it, I think about some of the people there that were in the shelter with me who at times saved my life, who would, in all likelihood, because of their acts that they committed decades ago, would likely be considered in the category of they're not deserving, and therefore they should be on the street. And again, these people, they looked out for me, okay, and I never met them before, and I'll probably never see them again, but they really did watch my back. Same was, they helped care for my husband as well, okay. So there is a code. There is, all right. And so people do, indeed, in these places, they do form communities, they do form bonds, and they do care for each other, okay? And therefore, in spite of the fact that, I didn't know any of these people before I went in there. As I left, there were more than a couple of people that I gave a hug to. And, oh, by the way, none of them were the shelter staff. There was one or two people that I did grow to like there that were staff, but didn't get to see them the last day, I don't think. And the bottom line is that it was set up, in essence, to make the staff enemies. Even most of the ones that could have been, and for the most part were, nice of us as residents of the shelter. Okay? And that's ridiculousness. And one of the reasons, by the way, that often it was set up that was set up to be adversarial was especially in terms where the guards were set up to protect the quote-unquote service professionals in terms of social workers and stuff. And the director was setting up the social workers to be the evil ones. And so everything was set up to create conflict, and none of it was needed. Absolutely none of it was needed. And therefore, all of those people were a waste, in essence. All of the staff were wasted money. And I would therefore rather that money be, quote-unquote, wasted, or to me, I'd call it properly used, to keep the people, the ones that would have been cruel no matter where the heck they were, which there were, I'd say, 1 of 100, that no matter where you put them in terms of whether they had a job or not, wherever they were put, they would have been cruel, and they would have been mean creatures. Just don't ask them to show up for a frickin' job. Pay them so that they are not cruel to anyone but the people that happen to hang around with them every now and again. And save everyone a lot of trouble. Give the wealthy people some, an extra cocktail or 2 a month. Again, they're having fun. Let them. Because as you're doing that, you're keeping hundreds of thousands of people in need safe and out of danger. Shalom.